Everybody for having me tonight. My name is Grace Hong. I'm 14 years old and a freshman at Mater Dei High School, where I was the starting opposite hitter and team captain of the JV volleyball team.
Awesome.
I am also one of the top-ranked junior beach volleyball players in the country, and I'm the captain and starting outside hitter for Mamba Volleyball, which was founded by Kobe Bryant. Being competitive is not something I've learned. It has been more of a survival technique. I'm the youngest of 4 kids and the only girl. I grew up going to Little League games, CYO basketball tournaments, and the football field at Bishop O'Dowd High School, where my brothers attended, was almost a second home to me. Athletics were a way of life in my household, and it was just a matter of time before I found my sport. But this is where my story gets a little bit more complicated. You see, I was born without full fingers on my right hand. At home, my so-called disability was never allowed to be an excuse for anything. If something was difficult, like tying my shoes or putting my hair in a ponytail, I was simply told to keep trying and eventually I would get it. This always turned out to be the case, so I never really felt different or incapable of doing anything. That was until I started school. I remember the first recess on the kindergarten playground. All the kids filed out of the classroom and got in line for the monkey bars. As I stepped up to the ladder to take my turn and placed my hands on the bar to start to cross, I fell immediately to the ground. My hand was not big enough to go around the bar. At the end of the day, I came home sobbing. Later that night, when my dad came home from work, he took me back to the playground. He stood there as I climbed the ladder and attempted to cross, and he caught me as I fell over and over and over again until my hands were too sore to try anymore. As we walked home, he told me that my hand just needed to get stronger, and we would come back every day until we figured it out. Each night when he got home from work, we would go straight to the playground. After about a month, I finally got it. It was a feeling I will never forget, and it ignited something inside me that would never allow me to give up on anything. 2 years ago, we moved from Northern California to Orange County. Along with finding a new school and new friends, I had to find a new club volleyball team. While at a beach training, one of the coaches told me that there was a new team starting up in Orange County and tryouts were that night. She explained it was going to be a super unique program because it was founded by Kobe Bryant. We decided we would check it out. When I showed up to the tryouts, I couldn't believe how tall everyone was. I wondered, are people in SoCal just taller than people in NorCal? And why? Was it the food? Was it the sun? I just could not understand why everyone was so much bigger. When the tryout started, we were told to all get in a circle and introduce ourselves. We were asked to state our name, our age, and the high school we attended. I looked up and thought, did they just say high school? Sure enough, one by one, each person stated their name and age of 15 or 16 and the name of their high school. As it got closer to my turn, I began to sweat. When it was finally my turn, I said, "Hi, my name is Grace Hong. I'm 13 years old and I'm not in high school yet." Everyone just stared at me, including the coach. About 15 minutes into the workout, Mr. Bryant walked into the gym. To say this was intimidating was an understatement. He stayed and watched the entire tryout. I tried not to look over at him the entire time because I knew it would just make me more nervous. I made it through the tryout and actually did really well, but ultimately I just want to take my 13-year-old self home. As we were packing up to leave, Mr. Bryant approached me and stuck out his hand for a handshake. He said, "Way to ball out." He then said, "Do you want to be a Mamba?" I looked up at him and said, "Thank you, Mr. Bryant, but I'm only 13 years old." He then, without skipping a beat, replied, "So?" I didn't know what to say, so he said it again. "So you want to be a Mamba?" Without even thinking, I responded, "Of course I do." And he said, "Welcome to the team." Playing for Mr. Bryant's team is everything you can imagine it was. Super cool swag, the nicest uniforms around, and the best shoes ever. But it also meant 7 days a week of practice for hours on end, separate weight training sessions, and video review. I remember thinking that we were starting with 12 players and wondering how many we'd have left when the season actually started. It was grueling, but I loved it. During one practice, Mr. Bryant came in at the end and pulled us all together. He told us that practice is where we should expect mistakes. He told us the purpose of practice is not to make safe shots. Practice is where we push ourselves and challenge each other to test our limits. He encouraged us to practice the shots we are not confident enough to try in a game, and if they don't work, keep trying until they are. Where practice was for errors, games were for leaving it all out on the court. I was also surprised about how little he focused on the win or the loss, but the idea that we needed to leave every ounce of what we had on the court. He hated it when balls would drop and bodies were not on the floor diving for them. On one occasion, we were in the third set against a team that was seated higher than us in a tournament, and a ball was hit in the direction where Mr. Bryant was sitting. I had to dive into the stands to get it. As I fell into my mom and him, Mr. Bryant yelled, "Great job, Gracie," and then he pushed me back onto the court and said, "Get back out there." It wasn't enough just to get that ball. The point was not over, so my job was not done. He stressed that if we gave it our all but came up short on the win, we should feel good about the job we had done. It wasn't about the win, but it was about the work. His competitiveness was contagious and not just on the court. I remember on a team outing to laser tag, Mr. Bryant was on a team with myself and his daughter. Before we went in, he pulled us aside and told us exactly how we were going to win. When the game started, he found us the perfect spot and told us to hide because we were going to win by working as a team and ambushing people rather than splitting up and working individually. His master plan worked and we killed it. He was so proud of us, even though I'm pretty sure he was the one with the most hits. There's so many stories I would love to share with you that are examples of Mr. Bryant's commitment to inspire and empower athletes, but there's for sure not enough time. Instead, I will leave you with this. Sports can change lives. It has for sure molded mine. Being an athlete has given me the confidence to reach out to you with my right hand to shake yours, when I would otherwise just want to hide it. It has inspired me to be a better student, and it has taught me how to be a leader. I believe beyond a doubt Mr. Bryant knew that girls who participated in sports are less likely to drop out of school or do drugs, and the ones that are in sports are way more likely to become college graduates, CEOs, or to give back to their communities. I believe he would have gone on to fight for equal pay in athletics and encourage more college scholarships for girls. I am fortunate enough to have had the opportunity to learn so much from Mr. Bryant and will do all I can to keep his legacy alive by living the principles of the Mamba mentality and inspiring others to do the same. Thank you.